let's get right into it here with the story that pretty much last day or two has been like lighting up on the sports talk stuff here. And let's be honest, the guy who did that, it's what he does for a living. And that's Emmanuel Acho of the Fox Sports here. And I gotta be honest with you guys, I don't know a ton of his stuff here. I don't have cable. I haven't had cable in years. The guy doesn't cover the Giants, so I don't pretend to, be the guy that watches every single thing nationwide. No one's got that kind of time. I got work. I got stuff to do, people. But we did see the BS he was spewing here. And let's be honest, we're all talking about him now. He did his job.
100%.
That's his job, guys. Not to give you facts, not to go ahead and present good arguments. His job is to get in the news, to have people talking about him and Fox Sports.
100%. Because the more you look at Fox Sports, the more that they're going to get advertising and revenue.
Oh, yeah. So here's what he said. He said, if the Giants do not bench Daniel Jones, they are admitting they are forfeiting the season. When you walk into an NFL locker room and Daniel Jones is your starting quarterback, you're admitting not just to the 53 players plus the 10 practice squad players, you're admitting to your fans that we are submitting during the course of the season. We are already saying mercy. Acho continued ranting there, talking about the Giants are betraying every single player on the team. He said, you're betraying the entire organization. He said, Daniel Jones is 0. Wow.
Pretty brutal.
Yeah, like, now, for a little background on him, from people like myself who, don't watch cable, don't care to listen to talking heads that are there for the ratings, and that's it. It's funny I say that while Rob and I are basically talking heads right now, but we're actually trying to give you Giants news. We're just trying to spew BS here. So Acho spent a couple of seasons in the NFL, mostly with the Eagles. So coincidence there, maybe, that he's talking trash. It was a 6th-round pick of the Browns, and even actually spent some time with the Giants, but on their practice squad. He wasn't a good player. That's not to knock him overall in his football career. He got to the NFL. Most people never get there, so I'm not going to sit there and bash the guy like nonstop over his football career. But he's a guy who spent a couple of years in the league, didn't do too much, ended up on practice squads. Very typical NFL career. Couple seasons, got washed out. So I look at him overall, though, and if we're looking at an honest assessment, like, is he right? I think you can say he's kind of right, but he's also kind of not. Like, there's a middle ground here, and we're always kind of the middle ground show when it comes to Daniel Jones overall in general. But there's a middle ground here. Like, should the Giants have brought in a legitimate threat to Daniel Jones' job this season? I think that's the first thing.
Yeah, that's a fair argument to make.
100% fair. Here's my whole thing. I'm going to say it this way, even. Not only should they have potentially brought in a legitimate threat for him, but even you can call him an insurance policy given the injury issues that Daniel Jones has had throughout his career. They brought in some of the top prospects in the draft of their quarterback. We saw that during the combine, they spoke to Caleb Williams. They spoke to, Drake May, Jaden Daniels, J.J. McCarthy, Michael Penix, like all the big names out there. And then later on in Hard Knocks, they showed that they actually had in for visits Jaden Daniels, J.J. McCarthy, and Drake May. So, they did their homework on those guys. But what I didn't hear anything about, besides the fact of one mention of one of these guys being a target at one point, but not really progressing very far, the top free agents at quarterback at this offseason, guys, not they were great. I'm not trying to say there's a Patrick Mahomes in this mix here, but the top ones were Jimmy Garoppolo and Gardner Minshew. Those are guys that would have been a legit threat to Daniel Jones, which is a much a statement of how free agency class was. Daniel Jones is not a typical threat to give him at that point, though. Let's be very frank here.
Well, Gardner Minshew just won the job in Vegas.
Hey, and they mentioned Minshew. He was the one they mentioned at Hard Knocks. So they talked about him as being like the top, like, we wish we can get this guy quarterback wise, basically. And the money was the issue, So we got a 2-year, $25 million contract from the Raiders. Let's simplify that. Let's call it $12.5 million a year. I can look at the breakdown and see what they gave 1 year, 1 year, 2, whatever, but that's irrelevant here. Let's just say $12.5 million a year. We gave $5 million to Drew Lock. So what you're really talking about here is a difference of $7.5 million, which we easily could have had. Guys, we still have plenty of money we could get right now if we wanted to restructure more with Andrew Thomas, because they only did a small what they could have done with him. We could get more if we restructure with Dexter Lawrence. We have plenty of money to get, guys. And I really think they should have brought in another quarterback that actually was to be a legit threat to Daniel Jones. And it's not even me rooting against Daniel Jones. Listen, in a perfect world, we signed this guy to a $40 million a year contract. No matter who you bring in, he beats the crap out of them, and the guy's a good backup for him. That would be the perfect world because you already paid this guy so much money, But you can also look again, Jimmy Garoppolo, often injured, just like Daniel Jones. They'd work well together. Hopefully one be healthy. but he signed for a 1-year, $3.2 million deal with the Rams. He signed for less money than Drew Lock got. You're telling me we threw him $6 million, he wouldn't have been a Giant right now?
I mean, you could have thrown him 4.5.
Could have thrown him the 5 to Drew Lock. I'm just saying, like, I think there was a little bit of malpractice with that move. And it's partially the fact that, I don't want to speak for you, Rob, on this, but I don't like Drew Lock. I never have been a Drew Lock guy.
Wasn't a fan.
So the fact that that's who they decided to bring in, I'm like, really? The guy.
I feel like they got some bad insider info. They're like, oh, look what happened with Geno Smith. The guy was a backup for years and, terrible starter. Goes over, does this crazy story, working with this, quarterback coach, working with this offense. Comes out, he's a average quarterback right now in this league.
Yeah.
So could they have fixed Drew Lock with, half the age of Geno? Tenure, I guess you should say, actually less than half of tenure in the NFL.
Yeah.
So you look at it like maybe that's something we got that we thought we could get for cheap, but I don't know. I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, and they wanted Tyrod Taylor. That's who they preferred over Drew Lock. They made that very clear. I think, quite frankly, Tyrod Taylor was very happy to be getting out of the Giants organization. I don't think he wanted to stay here. That's just my own 2 cents, the vibe I got. But, it's the Giants could have done more. Point blank, could have done more. Now, at the same point, do you want to sit there and tell them and say that, oh, you did such a piss poor job at this that you gave up on your team and you gave up on your fans? That's taking it freaking extreme. Again, this is a guy talking head on TV, so of course that's what he's going to say. He's not going to be like us and take the middle road, because quite frankly, guys, we could probably get a whole lot more views, a whole lot more subscribers if we took the one side or the other and appease the people that hate Daniel Jones and appease the people that love Daniel Jones. But we'd rather give you the truth and the realistic middle ground, which is where people really are for the most part. Is Daniel Jones is a guy we got to the playoffs with 2 years ago. So if you want to sit there and say you're giving up on this team because you kept him at quarterback, sorry, that's a little bull. But 100%. If you want to sit there and say the Giants did everything they could to strengthen their quarterback room this year, that's also a little bull. There is middle ground, guys. I know it's crazy. Middle ground. So, now the only legitimate threat, if you want to call him one, that you could even get on the open market is Ryan Tannehill, former Dolphin, former Titan there, who has had no interest this offseason from anybody, guys. Like, has anybody ever heard anything about, oh, so-and-so is interested in signing Ryan Tannehill? No, not one single article I've seen. And part of me wonders, is Tannehill even like semi-retired? And he'd only play if like the right situation came through, like Aaron Rodgers, hurts himself in the first drive of the Jets game again. Like that kind of scenario, you know what I mean? Like that kind of scenario would happen, then probably Ryan Tannehill would go there in a heartbeat and play and hope to, do something crazy in a final season there. Otherwise, I think he's pretty much done. I mean, I'm not so sure a guy like that comes out and goes, you know what, I can't find a job. Here's the Giants. They want me as a backup. And then I'm
Yeah.
there, and if Daniel Jones looks bad, I get a shot. Like, I don't know if that's that appealing and enticing to a guy like him, you know?
I think you hit it perfectly on the head. He's looking for a Joe Flacco kind of spot of last year.
Yeah. That's a very good analogy as well. So, you know, and I'm not even sure how much he's in the tank for this guy anymore, to be honest with you guys. I mean, Will Levis beat him out. You know, he didn't look great at times with the Titans ever. Like, he was never an amazing quarterback. But last couple of years, you can definitely see the decline was starting. That's for sure. The decline was definitely starting. So, but the Giants have a better offensive line they've had in recent years. They have a legitimate number one receiver, potentially. I don't want to call him that fully until he plays the game, but potentially they have that. You know, it's things they can do to go help a quarterback here. So again, the middle ground is where we're at of this. He's ridiculous in this hyperbole he's using in this scenario. You know, the Giants could have done more to bring a legitimate threat to Daniel Jones this year. But instead, point blank, they coddled him. They coddled him and handed him the job instead of making him earn the job this offseason. Because that's probably would have been, after the crappy season he had last year, I think that would have been the best thing to do, is bring in somebody like a Gardner Minshew, who I would have been head over heels happy about if we had gotten him, and say, you know what? We're going to let you and Daniel Jones fight it out for the starting position. Winner take all. Because you know what? If Daniel Jones can't beat out Gardner Minshew, then that just tells you that contract was a mistake. He should be a backup this year, stay healthy, and go and move on next year. But if he does beat out Gardner Minshew, it adds validity to him in the locker room. It adds validity to him in his own mind at that point. It adds validity to him in the NFL world. There is no downfall of that kind of situation, guys. Absolutely none. You know, and when you look at the guys they brought in from the draft to talk to, guys, they weren't drafting these guys. Do you think there's a shot in hell the Giants were getting Jaden Daniels? Do you think that the Commanders were really going to not take Jaden Daniels with the second overall pick?
No.
Do you think the Commanders would have traded that pick to the Giants? No.
If it was any other team, maybe, but like, the Commanders have been a terrible team for a long time, and they're new organization, new coaches. Like, they're looking to make changes.
Exactly. So Drake May, do we really think the Patriots were going to go ahead and take whatever the top three quarterbacks were still left?
Yeah, I mean,
they had no quarterback.
They haven't had one in years, so it's not much of a change.
Like, they had to do something. If you have the chance, okay, let's say hypothetically the Patriots said, you know what? We want the assets. We're going to trade away the third overall pick. If Drake May was a good quarterback in this league, they would never hear the end of it. That's the kind of move that gets a GM fired. Point blank. And for a brand new GM, that's a really bad idea to put yourself in that scenario. So, guys, that was never going to happen. So all we did was waste our time with quarterbacks we had no shot of drafting, except J.J. McCarthy, who, again, I've said it before, I'll say it again, his best move in college was handing the ball off. And you notice who was missing in those rooms in Hard Knocks? Michael Penix Jr. was missing. Bo Nix was missing. Maybe we should have taken a close look at those guys. Maybe there was another meeting we're unaware of that wasn't on Hard Knocks. I'm not under the illusion that every single meeting was on Hard Knocks and we got to see everything that happened this offseason either. Yeah. But it's weird that those guys weren't at that meeting. The guys you legitimately had a chance to draft. You only had one of the three.
Yeah,
that's malpractice right there. You didn't do your due diligence potentially on the people you had a chance to get at the most important position.
Just again, like you said, they could have brought in Penix Jr. We just didn't see it. They may have not liked what they had, and they just didn't put it on there to, you know.
But why have a quarterback meeting and not include those guys? I would have rather they included those guys than Jaden Daniels and Drake May. That would have been a much more important meeting to have. because those guys you at least had a legitimate shot of getting. You had no shot of getting Gene Daniels. You had no shot of getting Drake May.
Yeah. We had a tiny shot at Drake, but
if we wanted to give up every single pick for the next 3 years, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Ricky Williams trade would have looked like a minor move compared to what we had to give up to go get Drake May. Like, that's what it is. So I just think, like I said, I don't think it sends the message of we gave up, we're giving up on this year. I don't think that. I think that's ridiculous when you got a guy who literally is, was injured last year and the prior year had gone ahead and led you to the playoffs. I think that's absolutely ridiculous to sit there and say. But it's not ridiculous to sit there and say they didn't do enough to make sure the most important position, not just in football, but all of sports in general as a whole, wasn't taken care of. And I'm telling you right now, if he looks bad, and he looks really, really bad, like he did against the Texans there, and I'm not going to sit there and say that's going to be indicative of everything to do all season long. I'm just saying, if he does, Joe Shane's going to be Joe gone.
Goodbye.
Exactly. And it's weird that Joe Shane wouldn't have protected himself by bringing in somebody else just in case. And again, I'm not even saying talent-wise. I'm also saying injury-wise. Daniel Jones has shown you he can't stay healthy. He's been healthy 1 year. It's the year you got to the playoffs with him. Coincidence, I think not saying. But you have to protect yourself. Drew Lock does not protect you. A Gardner Minshew would have protected you.
Correct. I mean, we also don't know the back end. Like, they may have brought in Minshew and he wasn't interested.
Like I said, they made it seem a Hard Knocks it was a money thing. They really did. And I think they really wanted the money to go ahead and spend on the offensive line, and I get that part of it. But it doesn't matter who you got blocking if the person out, behind that line can't even do anything when he's upright anyway.
Correct. You're not wrong.
So
I mean,
it's like you need the peanut butter with the jelly.
I mean, you don't need jelly for peanut butter, but
yes, you do. Because it's peanut butter jelly time.
Wait, there you go.
I'm just saying, like, you need both. And they did one, and they prioritized one, and I'm glad they did because this line looked a lot better against the Texans when they did play together. But he didn't prioritize the most important position. It was an afterthought. Oh, we didn't get this guy. We'll go for this guy. Oh, we didn't get this guy. I guess we'll go to this guy.
Yeah.
No, you do what you got to do to get your guy.
I think you're right. I think they were blindsided on the line, which has been terrible for years. And I mean, like I said, we've talked about this ad nauseum. If they go from like rank 30th to 16, it's a hell of an improvement. Yep. And it's going to go a long way. Granted, how much is DJ going to hurt that? How much, is Drew Lock going to hurt that when they start getting sacked because they're holding on to the ball, they're making terrible plays?
Yeah. I'm just saying, I'm still at that mind. And part of this might be me. And we all know, those who watch this show during the draft, that I have a huge affinity for Michael Penix Jr. I think he's going to be a legit quarterback in this league if he gets the chance to play before he turns 40.
I was going to say, he's going to be in a wheelchair going out there for his first game.
Seriously, but to me, I'm sorry. If you thought he's a quarterback in this NFL, you should have drafted him. Malik Neighbors may be a very special wide receiver, but if you don't got someone to throw him the ball to, it don't matter. It really don't matter. So, hopefully I'm wrong, and hopefully we're overreacting. Hopefully Daniel Jones goes back to 22 Daniel Jones. But even then, is the ceiling really that high in him? You need better than 22 if you want to win a championship. And I'm sorry, guys. We're the Giants. We're not the Jets. That's our goal, is a championship. We don't get happy because we got in the playoffs. Oh, don't get me wrong. We're happy, but we're not ecstatic. We're not like, oh my God, it's the greatest thing ever. Whoa, like it's not enough for us there. So, but let us know what you think in the comments. Are we crazy here? Did the Giants do enough? Was enough a priority for them? Do they need to go ahead and maybe try to figure something out at the position? Is there even something worth looking at this position? I don't think there is at this point. That's the problem. So,
I mean, we also don't know what happened behind closed doors.
Of course not.
There
That's
could
why
have
they
been
look good.
there could have been a part in the Hard Knocks where didn't make anything. It was closed doors before you even started. That
Yeah.
you don't know. America said, "I really like DJ. I don't want you guys to do anything unless you got a top 3." And
You know what? Mara wanted to
maybe,
keep Saquon, didn't get his way. I
you,
think Joe changed his focus.
but you don't know. Like, you don't know if Shane turned around like, all right, we'll do everything we can for this year, but if he doesn't make it, he's gone.
Yeah.
And they had a off, camera deal they have with each other. Like, give him this year. You don't know.
Oh yeah, we never know. We never know. So it's part of the frustration sometimes being a fan. So
if you like that clip, then you will love the full episodes too. Find us on your favorite podcast app and look for us on all your favorite social media platforms.
Thanks so much.
Please, I'm begging you. Please subscribe.